Hi, I'm John Bird. I'm the teacher for the BUSN 6870 class, Business and Global Climate Change, summer of 2016. Welcome to the class. I'm excited to teach it. I always learn a lot from you folks, and I hope that the class is valuable to you. I want to talk about the topics we're going to cover and how the class is structured, so you have a little heads up on what to expect over the next 8 weeks. Week 1, we have introductions. I think it's real valuable to know who's in the class and what their interest in climate is. And it's perfectly fine if you say, well, this is the only class that fit a requirement. I know how that works. I did it too. So don't be afraid to say that if that's the reason. Week 1, we're going to have the obligatory climate change lecture. You know all this stuff. You can probably skim through it pretty quickly. And then we'll get to the meat of the class, and that's climate change impacts. This is where the constraints and the risks on business are going to arise. Also, maybe where opportunities for new products and processes will come from. In week 2, we're going to look at some numbers, and we're going to apply those to creating carbon footprint. I'll talk more about that in just a sec. And then we're going to talk about carbon reporting and setting carbon targets. There's 2 things going on right now that I think are really interesting. Companies are beginning to adopt science-based targets. There's probably a few dozen companies that already have adopted them, and I'm sure that there'll be dozens, if not hundreds more in the next year or 2, and maybe a company that you work for will be doing this, so it's good to know about it. Context-based sustainability is kind of the cousin to science-based targets, and I want to talk about why those things are just a little bit different. And that will lead us into the 4th week when we talk about policies. Policies are typically categorized as taxes or cap and trade. We're going to add climate club, something that Bill Nordhaus, the author of the textbook we'll be using, has developed. And then we're going to talk about climate justice. Whenever you're talking about policies, you want policies that'll be equitable. And frankly, climate change in terms of its impact is about the least equitable thing you can possibly imagine. From there, we're going to talk about mitigating, that is, reducing carbon emissions, and adapting to, that's sort of living in a 2-degree warmer world. So mitigation and adaptation. And then we'll shift to look at strategies that companies who I think are doing a real good job are applying, how they're sort of looking at it and dealing with carbon. And we'll also look at a case and have you do a case report on H&M, the fast fashion company. And I'll leave it up to you whether they're doing a good job or not. In week 7, we'll look at how investors deal with climate change. And this is a light week, and it's designed that week because I want you to develop a carbon strategy for a ski area so you can apply some of the stuff we've talked about over the first 6 weeks. The 8th week, we'll have presentations of your projects, and we'll have a quiz that'll end that week. It'll be up for a couple of weeks, so you have plenty of time to do it. So those are the topics and the rough time schedule. The assignments, we're going to have 5 or 6 small assignments. These are really small, like half an hour or 1 hour, every week until week 6 or 7. These will be things like finding and reporting the carbon emissions for a country. That'll be week 1, carbon footprinting week 2, analyzing the climate part of a sustainability report in week 3, doing a simulation of a cap and trade policy in week 4, posting a mitigation or adaptation example in week 5, the H&M example in week 6, and in week 7, you're going to do the ski area corporate strategy, and then finally the presentation. So there's lots of little projects or little assignments, and then 2 bigger ones. And there'll be a quiz. It'll be available for a couple weeks. You can take it twice, and I'll give you a study sheet. So everybody should do pretty well on that. But it's just to check that you have the basics figured out. Anyway, I think the class is going to be great. It's going to be busy. It's stuff every week. I've tried to pare down the reading list to just the essentials, and I've given you a lot of options if you're interested in something. So I hope I've made it doable for the summer. It's a great topic. I hope you like it as much as I do. Thanks for being in the class, and we'll see you tomorrow, June 6th. Bye-bye.